Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Monday, Mafia Monday. I got the laptop open. Let's jump into our story. We're going scene by scene through all three novels that I wrote about the Los Angeles Syndicate. We're starting with the first book, California Gangsters, and we're a pretty good ways through it. So if you're just tuning in for the first time, you need to go and find the other videos on Monday. So let's just pick up where we left off. Our main character, Simon Castro, has taken his grandfather's chair on the board of directors in the Los Angeles Syndicate. He's finally made it to the top. And he's making some power moves right now. Nobody else seems to understand. Even his father, who helped get him there, doesn't even understand what Simon's up to. So let's pick it up where we left off. The story's getting good. Set your scene. I got Mr. Snubby ready as usual. Always ready for some mafia stories. Let's get into it. California Gangsters. After lunch, I felt like I had to get busy on my plans. I had Rodney take me to the home of Diego Campos over in Boyle Heights. He had a mansion on a hill. It was a 4-story Spanish-style home with big metal gates, making it look like a fortress. He had security guards out front that walked up and down the block to guard his family. Diego Campos was a very hardcore individual. He had worked his way up from a street gang on the east side to eventually joining the Mexican Mafia while he was in San Quentin. After putting in years of work to prove himself, Diego finally became the big boss himself. He took over Big O's chair on the board of directors when the old gangster was sent off to federal prison a few years back. Under Diego, the Mexican Mafia grew by leaps and bounds like it never had before. He took a prison gang and turned it into a major criminal organization, which today can be considered a strong second to La Cosa Nostra. Some people in the criminal underworld of California had always felt that my grandfather, Carl Castro, only gave Big O a chair at the table because they were childhood friends. That was the rumor in this town for years. However, under Diego Campos, the Mexican Mafia clearly deserved its membership in the syndicate, and those rumors died away as soon as he took the chair. Diego also deserved the massive respect he received from his turf. He was a king among men on the east side, whereas Big O had quickly moved to Beverly Hills the second he made some money, giving guys the impression that he was just too good for the barrio. One of the security guards opening the gate was a Mexican dude that I knew from my high school days. I recognized him right away under his unshaven face and got excited to see him. I wanted to roll down my window to surprise him and say hello. I tapped Rodney on his shoulder and said, "Slow down, let me say hi to this dude for a second." Rodney looked back and replied, "Sorry, boss, but that is a direct violation of the Mexican Mafia rules. If you talk to this guy, Diego will certainly have him put to death. He'll end up in trash bags in a landfill, eaten by seagulls." Diego was standing on the steps in the front of his entrance of his home, watching us as we pulled in and parked. He smiled as I got out of the car. He said, "Hola, amigo. How are you doing on this wonderful day? Welcome to my humble home." I shook Diego's hand firmly as I replied, "We would have been here sooner, but you know how these old guys like to floss through town. It took us 45 minutes to only drive 7 short miles." I followed Diego through his home out back to his patio. He had a large gazebo in the middle of the yard with a nicely built outdoor entertainment area for cooking food. He said, "Please, sit down. Do you like my party area? I have a huge family, as you can imagine, and they come over here on Sundays after church. We party, we dance, and we eat a lot of food. You should come over sometime and join us. You look like a guy who can have a good time, and I like that about you." I replied, "Thank you very much. I will take you up on that. But I warn you, I eat a lot. You'll need to make some extra food." Diego erupted in laughter and said, "Ha! Yes, you're a giant monster, aren't you? I have no doubt that you eat like one as well. However, we Mexicans can eat a lot of food too, amigo. I will gladly challenge you to an eating contest. The person who eats the most tamales wins. We will decide on a prize worth throwing up over." He snapped his fingers, and one of the staff came over within seconds. Diego said, "Bring 2 Coronas." The servant scurried off without saying a word or making eye contact with me. I asked, "Are you Mexicans against weed like the Italians are? Do you mind if I blaze a joint?" Diego smiled and said, "Well, my wife is not here, so I'm going to say yes. She thinks weed is bad for you. She has me on a diet and watches everything I do like a hawk. So while the cat is away, the mice will play." I pulled a huge joint out from my pocket and began to light it up, blowing smoke into the air. I passed him the cigarette and replied, "Hey, let me ask you something. How long has that guy working at the gate been working for you? What's his story?" Diego said, "Oh, you mean Skinny? The hairy one? Ah, yes. Did he bother you as you pulled in? Mira, I will have him killed for you right now." Diego snapped his fingers. His personal assistant, who was lurking near by the lawn, came trotting over. He said to his loyal assistant, "Bring Skinny down to the dungeon. Have Tito cut him into 13 tiny pieces. Simon, do you want a souvenir? A finger? Or a toe, perhaps?" My eyes went wide with horror at the suggestion. I replied, "No way, man. He was a friend of mine from high school. I was just asking to see how he was doing. Don't kill him." He said, "Well, come on now, Simon. I'm just pulling your leg. That guy is my wife's favorite cousin. I will tell him that you were here to visit." I laughed and took the joint from the ashtray and replied, "Dude, you got a dark sense of humor." Diego looked at me with a serious gaze and I wondered if he was about to turn on me like a wild dog. He said, "I hope I do not offend you, but I'm a very direct man. I get to the point with no bullshit. Simon, are you working for your father? Is he calling the shots for DTG? Everyone in the city is telling me that you're nothing more than a puppet of the Italians." I wanted to keep eye contact with him, not looking nervous about his question, but I also wanted to get a glance around the patio to see what his security was doing and if they were closing in on me. As Diego stared at me with his intense, deep, set brown eyes, I replied, "I'm glad that you brought that up. I don't take orders from anybody but my wife. I came here today to make sure that the other board members, especially you, are going to back me up if the family tries to push me around. I'm not scared of La Cosa Nostra." Diego sat silent for a long time, looking at me up and down. He finally said, "You're a good man. I believe you. I knew your grandfather, Carl Castro, well. He was not just a member of the board. He did not just simply sit across the table. His chair was at the head of the table for a reason. You know, the original DTGs, your grandfather's mob, they ran the syndicate. Your grandfather, he was the syndicate. When he left, the leadership went out of the window, and we all became a bunch of greedy vultures. You must maintain your independence from your father, or else everything falls apart. Never back down." I took another hit off my joint to calm my nerves, and I replied, "I don't want you to think that I came over here with motives of pushing apart the board. In fact, it's the exact opposite. I only wish to strengthen the company as we move into the future. I don't have aspirations of returning to a past that my grandfather created. That shit is what got them all busted. No, we'll have to move forward into the unknown, not blind, but with torches bright enough to light the way. The feeding fest of vultures, as you describe it, will end next week when I sit at the head of that table." Diego smiled wide and took a hit off the joint. He said, I cannot speak for the Russians, and they can be hard to figure out sometimes. But I'll give you my word right now that the Mexican Mafia has your back. Don't get me wrong. I like your father very much. The Italian Mafia makes lots of money, and they don't mind sharing their rackets with us Mexicans. But we must keep the integrity of the company and of the board at all costs. I nodded and replied, "We're on the same page, my friend. You can always count on my DTGs for anything you need." Diego stood up and replied, "Thank you for coming here today, Simon. Come, let's go sit on the deck and eat. Talking politics makes me hungry. Do you like hot dogs? I love them because it's American food. You know, I get tired of beans and rice." We walked up to the patio and sat at a table. He snapped his fingers and his assistant went inside to get the chef. The chef came out with his hands in the air and a red face. His veins in his forehead were popping out as he complained, "Sir, hot dogs again? Your wife said that you are not to have them at all. Please, let me make you something more healthy. We have chicken, we have fish." Diego became enraged. He stood up and pointed to the kitchen and yelled in Spanish, "Vamos!" All right, let's stop there. Tune in next week.